All right, I want to document right here. First of all, this is the entity that's engaged in federal stalking. The entity has the fake sun directly over this roof at 10:13 a.m. and it's 9:13 a.m. So the entity is covering up the fake sun. That's would be on the same street, by the way, after 4 and 6 p.m. And this is what the entity is using to engage in creating earthquakes while I'm lying in the bed. That's sensational activity. These are demons that are engaged in a sex offensive monitoring, and they're doing so as employees at the venue, targeting, just like you saw the engineer light. They're targeting, just like you see the fake sun as I'm documenting. 9NBJ715 is also gang stalking with them, stalking in the path with light. And the entity is doing so with regard to monitoring a woman. These are sex offenders, and so is RAMADA by WYNDHAM. And pushing that cart, pushing the housekeeping cart, none of that creates earthquakes in rooms or in buildings, okay? In the same way that the sun doesn't sit over one address from 10 a.m. until after 6 p.m., from 10 a.m. until 12:52 p.m., from 10 a.m. until 4:09 p.m., where I'm documenting that pattern of conduct. The entity was doing the same thing as I documented video yesterday. That's a means of targeting these demons. The objective is monitoring, and they are engaged. This is surveillance over here. This is a demon that's stalking in the path, maintaining light around the hotel room. The entity is engaging in what is covering up the fake sun and engaging what is surveillance of me while I'm inside of this hotel room. License 16406H2, license 76465U1, 9TXK920, 3LAE411. License 9TXK502. RAMADA by WYNDHAM's engaged in harassment by the federal government. RAMADA by WYNDHAM's engaged in a sex offense committed by the federal government, and they're all engaged in federal stalking under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. That's why, by the way, the sun is never going to be here, including not at 10:13 a.m., and the entity has the fake sun right over the roof, covering it up while they're monitoring evidence. And the entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct, which is already captured, first of all, at every WYNDHAM venue, Days Inn by WYNDHAM, La Quinta Inn, and Baymont Inn, where the entity is targeting with the Ontario Police Department as well, while I've documented WYNDHAM. But La Quinta Inn by WYNDHAM, there is one right across the street. They're gang stalking as well. But the La Quinta in particular is the one I have in Hesperia, California, where there would never be any sun over RAMADA by WYNDHAM at 1841 East G Street, while the entity is covering it up. This is the pattern of conduct, the malice of the serial killers who engage in monitoring before they commit murder. It's at Ever Home Suites by, at Ever Home Suites at 1820 East G Street. That's a sex offender monitoring a woman, all right, while the entity is targeting inside of my room with amplified audible activity and sensational activity. That's a method of stalking in the path with light. These are the same sex offenders under the evening and afternoon fake sun. Gang stalking immigrants are going to be deported. This is Title 18 while he's using his cell phone and he's pacing. And engineer light is still present, okay? That's P.O.C. These are sex offenders monitoring also when you're in a private space, monitoring your genitalia, monitoring when you're using the toilet, monitoring when you're taking a shower, monitoring everything that you're watching on television, monitoring what you're doing on your cell phone. This is the entity that's engaged in monitoring the city of Ontario, the state of California. Okay, that's P.O.C. You're looking at iterations of stalking with light in the same exact engineered environment. The entity is covering up the fake sun, which is directly over me, as I've shown the pattern of conduct. It's not deviating now while the entity covers it up. The entity is engaged in monitoring evidence. Okay, this is relevant to the P.O.C., which is a threat to your life while serial killers monitor evidence of their stalking you and try to cover up that evidence. This is directly probative of that pattern of conduct of engaging in surveillance on the venue of the internet as well. It is currently 9:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 1841 East G Street. So I just want to show you. The entity is maintaining engineer light inside of the venue. This is light that is illuminating. The trajectory of that light is illuminating inside of the room. So I just want to show you. This is the P.O.C. coming in underneath the covered structure. This is all engineer light. I am covering it up, but this is all engineer light. All right, this is P.O.C. The entity is engaged. They're still in engineer light while the entity covers up the fake sun. Engineer light is always present, including at nightfall. And those are demons, and that's, again, the gang stalking immigrant population. That's also managing the hotel. 1841 East G Street is engaged in the sex offense. While I'm in the bed, the entity is targeting, creating what is earthquake. Again, shaking and vibrating the bed like they're doing under my feet while I'm standing on the floor. They're doing so at 9 o'clock in the morning, at 8:30 in the morning, while they're engaging in what is monitoring in rooms 317, that's stalking in the path, and also 318, they are engaged in criminal monitoring. This is P.O.C. It is 9:18 a.m. This is documentation of harassment, terrorism. The perpetual sex offense is underway. The entities engaging in what is monitoring in a private space, and this is all state action. P.O.C.
And he delivered them from their distress.
Just so that you can see the magnified size of my shadow, this is engineer light.
And the shadow of death. And burst.
This is all engineer light. I have multiple shadows. This is P.O.C. This is not the product of a cloudy day, a covered structure. The light, the trajectory of the light is showing the same exact engineer light. The entity, again, thinks that it's crafty, covering up the fake sun. The fake sun is relevant for showing you who is being targeted, showing you that the entity's engaged in surveillance. Covering up the fake sun does not remove the ongoing demonic environment, which is relevant to engineered light. And the sun, by the way, will never be present from 10:13 until after 6 p.m. at one address. Not only is it present until after 6 p.m., remember, it's aimed in perfect alignment with my hotel room. The entity aiming engineer light, dynamic all over the walls inside. That's never deleted or erased from the record. This is the entity that's monitoring evidence, and that's also relevant to federal prison. P.O.C.